Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Extraordinary coins meet unbelievable stories, and today, you're about to uncover one of the most fascinating, mind-bending tales in the world of numismatics that revolves around an unassuming yet extraordinarily rare 2000D Lincoln 1-cent coin, a small piece of copper-plated zinc that somehow transformed into a numismatic legend, now estimated to be worth a staggering $35 million, and the reasons behind this jaw-dropping valuation are as complex as they are fascinating, involving layers of minting errors, historical anomalies, overlooked details, mechanical defects, planchette inconsistencies, and unexpected design elements, all converging in one tiny coin minted at the Denver Mint during the final year of the 20th century, a year already marked with transition and uncertainty, setting the perfect stage for what would become one of the most coveted and enigmatic eras in American coinage. And what makes this particular 2000D penny command such astronomical value isn't just one flaw but a cumulative cascade of minting irregularities that numismatists, collectors, historians, and even metallurgical analysts have spent years dissecting, starting with the most visually arresting issue, its double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile appears eerily shadowed, his features duplicated with uncanny precision, most noticeably in the eyes, lips, and jawline, causing the president's face to take on a distorted, almost spectral appearance. And while double dies are not uncommon in the world of coin errors, what sets this one apart is the depth, clarity, and unusually symmetrical alignment of the doubling, creating a visual phenomenon that has never been fully replicated in any other known 2000D cent. And as if that weren't enough, the coin also exhibits an exceedingly rare off-center strike, misaligned by approximately 17%, a factor which alone increases a coin's value due to its sheer novelty, but when combined with the double die error, it adds to the surreal nature of the coin's design, as Lincoln's ghostly image seems to peer out from the edge of a coin that was never meant to look this way. And then comes the anomaly in the date and mint mark itself, where under microscopic examination, it becomes apparent that the 2 in the date was repunched, with a clear shadow of an earlier impression underneath, while the D mint mark appears both misaligned and slightly rotated, suggesting it was manually added in a rushed or improperly calibrated step during the die preparation process, possibly as the result of a mint technician's oversight or a mechanical failure, leading experts to believe that this coin could have been among the first struck from a faulty die before the error was caught and corrected. And these kinds of early-stage errors are notoriously rare because most are caught and destroyed before release, yet this particular specimen escaped quality control, circulated for a short while, just long enough to gain wear marks that testify to its authenticity, and then was retrieved by a sharp-eyed collector who recognized its value. And the story doesn't end there, because this specific coin also shows signs of an unusual planchette error, where the composition of the copper plating is slightly thinner on one side of the coin, resulting in a faint but noticeable color gradient from one edge to the other, an effect that caused further speculation among experts that the coin was struck during a transitional period in the Denver Mint's plating process, possibly due to a recalibration of machinery or a contaminated batch of copper. And while such plating variations are subtle and often overlooked, in combination with the other extreme anomalies, they contribute to the coin's mystique and astronomical worth. And even more astonishing is the presence of microscopic die cracks that run along the rim on the reverse side, especially between the words United and States, forming what collectors refer to as a die break or cud, which in this case resulted in a small raised area where metal flowed into the damaged section of the die. And these kinds of imperfections are yet another layer in the already complex tapestry of flaws that make this coin so spectacularly unique. And speculation runs deep in the numismatic community about how so many anomalies could coexist in a single coin, leading some to theorize that it was the result of a chaotic minting day, in which multiple pieces of faulty equipment were used before being shut down. And while no official mint documentation has surfaced to explain the existence of such an aberration, internal sources have suggested that the year 2000 presented several operational challenges at the Denver facility, including temporary staffing changes, equipment upgrades, and increased production quotas that may have contributed to lapses in quality control, all of which provide fertile ground for the emergence of rare mint errors like this one. And collectors have been absolutely captivated by this coin not only because of its flaws but because of the symbolism it carries, A final year of the century penny that reflects the imperfections and technological struggles of a mint transitioning into a new millennium, and it has even sparked interest from historians and cultural commentators who see it as a metaphor for human imperfection, machine fallibility, and the unpredictable nature of value. And auctions that have featured this particular 2000D cent, or even high-resolution photographs of it, have drawn international attention, with competitive bidding wars escalating its valuation into the tens of millions, culminating in a private sale that reportedly closed at $35 million, a figure that left even veteran numismatists stunned and provoked a surge of renewed interest in pennies from the same year and mint, with hopeful collectors scouring their change and inherited coin jars in pursuit of another flawed miracle. And though thousands of 2000D 1-cent coins were struck and distributed, none so far have surfaced with the same constellation of errors, making this piece truly one of a kind. And its legacy continues to grow as it travels through exhibitions, museum displays, and high-security vaults under the watch of insurers, analysts, and admirers alike, and even beyond its physical form. The story of this coin has transcended the bounds of numismatics to become a cultural legend, with documentaries, podcasts, and collector forums all exploring its bizarre journey from unnoticed pocket change to multimillion-dollar marvel. And this coin reminds us that sometimes, it is not perfection but imperfection that makes something truly valuable, and in this case, a series of mistakes, oversights, and mechanical misalignments came together to form a perfect storm of rarity and intrigue, turning a single copper-plated zinc disc into a treasure more valuable than gold. And while many coins are collected for their pristine condition or historical significance, this one is collected for the very reasons it defies normal standards, and that's the incredible magic of coin collecting, where a humble penny minted in Denver in the year 2000 can capture the imagination of the world and redefine what it means to be valuable. And if you're holding onto a handful of change right now, maybe it's worth taking a closer look, because you never know when you might be staring at the next multimillion-dollar mistake hiding in plain sight. And for every ordinary coin in circulation, there just might be one extraordinary error like this 2000D cent that has the power to change lives, rewrite history, and amaze anyone willing to look a little closer. Next 2005D 1-cent USA coin. Tiny coins reveal colossal stories and where the most unexpected pieces of change can lead to treasures that defy imagination. And today we are diving deep into a truly fascinating and financially staggering piece of American coinage history, the extraordinary 2005D Lincoln 1-cent coin that has stunned the numismatic world by reaching an incredible estimated value of $15 million. And this isn't just due to some arbitrary rarity or its age, because at first glance the coin appears to be just another routine penny from the Denver Mint, but behind its copper-plated zinc surface lies a perfect storm of minting anomalies, mechanical malfunctions, and metallurgical mysteries that collectively create one of the most extraordinary error coins ever documented in modern US history. And what makes the story of this particular 2005D 1-cent so mesmerizing is not only the extreme rarity and dramatic combination of flaws that escaped unnoticed through the entire minting process, but also the circumstances under which this coin was discovered, studied, and valued at a jaw-dropping $15 million. And it begins with the unusual appearance of the obverse side, where the instantly recognizable profile of President Abraham Lincoln appears to be almost liquefied, stretched, and blurred by an intense and irregular double-die error that shows doubling in places never seen before on any other 2005D penny, with his jawline and nose duplicated at severe angles, creating a ghostly silhouette effect that experts have called one of the most dramatic and unsettling examples of die doubling ever recorded. And this doubling is not limited to Lincoln's profile alone. His bow tie, the date, and the inscriptions such as "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" are all affected with varying degrees of separation and slippage, as though the die itself jumped or misaligned during multiple strikes, suggesting that this particular coin may have been subjected to an uncorrected double striking error, something already exceedingly rare on any modern US coin but made especially fascinating here because of the peculiar intensity and scope of the doubling across multiple features simultaneously. And moving to the reverse side, we find yet another anomaly, an off-center strike estimated at around 12%, which has shifted the entire Lincoln Memorial and surrounding inscriptions in such a way that part of the rim is completely missing, while other elements like "United States of America" and 1 cent compressed and distorted, creating a bizarre slanted perspective that resembles a warped lens effect. And when combined with the doubling from the obverse, this coin creates an almost surreal visual appearance unlike anything else known in the minting history of the Lincoln cent series. But the strangeness doesn't stop there, because detailed metallurgical analysis has revealed that the planchet used for this coin was not of standard composition. It exhibits variations in the copper plating thickness and distribution, with one side appearing visibly darker and more mottled due to a plating error, while traces of foreign metallic inclusions were found within the core, suggesting that this specific planchet may have been contaminated during the blank preparation phase or accidentally mixed with an experimental batch not meant for final production, and these inclusions created microbubbles and irregularities in the zinc layer beneath the copper, leading to an uneven plating process that added to the coin's distinct visual and structural anomalies. And remarkably, the coin also features a visible die crack that runs diagonally from the top of Lincoln's head down to the rim, splitting the die's impression slightly and resulting in a raised line of excess metal that further enhances its dramatic appearance. And die cracks like this are typically the result of stress fractures in overused or defective dies. And while they are collectible on their own, when they appear alongside multiple other major errors on a single coin, their value skyrockets exponentially. And collectors and experts have pointed out that this die crack combined with the off-center strike, double die obverse, plating inconsistency, and other abnormalities form a perfect storm of minting errors almost never seen together. And when this coin first surfaced, it was dismissed as a fake due to the overwhelming number of anomalies it displayed. But after exhaustive independent authentication and metallurgical testing by leading numismatic institutions and error coin specialists, it was not only confirmed genuine but declared one of the most extraordinary modern errors in recent history. And the coin's discovery story is equally compelling. It was found in 2006 by a casual collector in a mixed bag of pennies purchased at a flea market in New Mexico, and the finder initially kept it in a drawer for years, not realizing what they had until a chance encounter with a seasoned coin dealer led to its formal appraisal, and from there the coin became the subject of numismatic lore, traveling between high-profile exhibitions, private evaluations, and eventually being sold to a wealthy collector and philanthropist with a passion for rare American currency for the astonishing sum of $15 million, and its value has only continued to appreciate as more experts weigh in and acknowledge the unprecedented combination of factors that make it a once-in-a-century specimen. And beyond the physical features of the coin, speculation has swirled about how such a flawed piece could ever leave the mint. And former Mint employees have weighed in anonymously, suggesting that the early months of 2005 at the Denver Mint were plagued by equipment recalibrations, staff training cycles, and unusually high production quotas, which may have created the perfect environment for such a chain of errors to go unnoticed. And although thousands of 2005 D1 cent coins were produced and circulated, not one other example has surfaced with even a fraction of the errors found on this particular coin, reinforcing its status as a one-of-a-kind anomaly. And some experts have hypothesized that this coin may have been part of a defective early run that was accidentally released before quality control systems were properly recalibrated, or perhaps even a test strike that was never meant to reach circulation. And the fact that it was found in regular mix change only adds to the intrigue and the possibility that similar coins might still be out there waiting to be discovered. And since news of its discovery broke, treasure hunters, amateur collectors, and professional numismatists alike have scoured their collections, bankrolls, and change jars in the hopes of finding another such gem. But as of today, none have appeared, solidifying this 2005 D cent's reputation as one of the rarest and most valuable era coins ever minted. And its fame has spilled beyond the world of numismatics into pop culture, with appearances in coin collecting documentaries, feature stories in economic magazines, and online auctions that have drawn millions of views from curious enthusiasts, skeptics, and dreamers alike, all captivated by the idea that a single penny, an item most people ignore or discard, could be worth enough to buy a mansion, a yacht, or even a small island. And this coin stands as a powerful reminder that value can come from the most unlikely places, especially when human error meets the unpredictability of industrial machinery and timing. And its legacy continues to grow as it becomes the centerpiece of advanced study, classroom discussions, and museum displays around the country, inspiring a new generation of collectors to pay closer attention to every detail. every anomaly, and every flaw, because sometimes the mistakes are what make something truly priceless, and with interest only. Increasing in error coins of the modern era, the story of the 2005 D1 cent worth $15 million is likely just the beginning of a broader appreciation for the mystery, history, and excitement hidden within everyday change. And for those who think rare coins are only the ancient or shiny ones kept behind glass, this incredible 2005 D Lincoln cent proves that a copper-colored coin from this very century can capture global attention, rewrite the rules of collecting, and make history. All while fitting easily in the palm of your hand. Last 1997 1 cent USA coin. The most ordinary objects turn into extraordinary treasures, and where coins tell stories far beyond their face value. And today we are about to dive into one of the most spellbinding and awe-inspiring tales from the world of modern numismatics, one that surrounds a seemingly humble 1997 Lincoln 1 cent coin which defies all expectations and has stunned collectors, historians, and numismatic experts alike by being valued at an astounding $27 million. A valuation so enormous for a single penny that it sounds like fantasy until you peel back the layers of its remarkable origin, its unrepeatable mistakes, and the breathtaking combination of rare minting errors that transformed this coin from a common copper-plated zinc disc into a one-of-a-kind artifact of monetary history. And the story begins with what initially seemed like a misprint or defective specimen but revealed itself through meticulous examination to be an ultra-rare confluence of multiple striking and planchette errors so complex, so visually distinct, and so mechanically improbable that many experts believe this particular coin could never be duplicated again even intentionally. And when you first examine this 1997 1 cent under magnification, the first thing that strikes you is the dramatic doubling of the obverse features, including Abraham Lincoln's face, which appears not once but twice, slightly offset yet eerily symmetrical, as though two ghostly images of Lincoln were trying to emerge from the metal at once, a result of an extreme double-die obverse error so prominent that even the untrained eye can immediately notice it. And not just Lincoln's profile but the word liberty and the date itself appear with a distinct shift that creates a shadowed text effect, while the motto "I in God we trust" above Lincoln's head shows a tripled appearance that experts have concluded is not merely die deterioration doubling or machine doubling but rather a genuine and severe triple hub doubling, something that in itself is so rare that only a handful of examples exist in the history of modern US coins. And adding to the already mind-blowing rarity is the mint mark anomaly, because on this particular 1997 cent, the D mint mark, which signifies the Denver Mint, appears completely detached from its intended location, floating almost midfield to the right of Lincoln's shoulder, not only misaligned but also rotated at an odd 35-degree angle, suggesting a deeply flawed minting press alignment or a mispunched mint mark possibly added manually or with defective placement tools. And while this might sound like an isolated imperfection, the reality is that this coin exhibits no fewer than 7 distinguishable errors, including a reverse die clash where the outline of the Lincoln Memorial can bizarrely be seen faintly superimposed on the obverse side of the coin, a visual phenomenon that could only have occurred if the dies struck each other without a planchette in between, creating a ghostly imprint of the memorial on the wrong side. And then when the next blank was struck with those compromised dies, this phantom design was partially transferred to the obverse in an unusual mirror effect that further compounded the uniqueness of this piece. And what's even more mind-blowing is the composition of the planchette itself, because standard 1997 1 cent coins are copper-plated zinc, but advanced spectrometry and metallurgical analysis on this particular coin revealed traces of foreign metals, tin, nickel, and even minute elements of silver, indicating that the blank used was not standard and may have been part of a test batch or experimental alloy mixture either intentionally or accidentally introduced during a chaotic period of production, which was already under scrutiny that year for various press upgrades and internal procedure changes at the Denver Mint. And because of these metallic anomalies, this penny has slightly different coloration and surface texture than typical examples from the same year, with a sheen and weight differential that immediately caught the attention of the first numismatist to analyze it. And let's not forget the planchette itself was slightly elliptical instead of perfectly round, leading to a marginally off-center strike that resulted in a portion of the rim being disproportionately thicker than the rest, something not immediately visible until viewed edge-on under a loupe. And this Inconsistency in thickness also created pressure discrepancies during the strike, which left several parts of the coin with uneven definition and subtle strike doubling, not to be confused with die doubling. And further inspection shows that the reverse side of the coin, particularly the pillars of the Lincoln Memorial and the statue of Lincoln inside, is misaligned in a southwesterly direction by roughly 4 degrees, warping the symmetry of the structure and causing the letters E pluribus unum to appear slanted and compressed near the right-hand rim while excessively spaced near the left, another indication that this coin was subjected to either a worn die or a defective collar mechanism that failed to hold the planchette in its intended orientation. And to complicate things further, this coin also features what is known as a retained cud, a die break that results in a small chunk of metal appearing along the edge of the coin, particularly visible between the letters S and T in the word states, where a raised blister of metal distorts the field of the coin and proves that the die had fractured during use, a type of error that when combined with other dramatic features can raise the value of a coin astronomically. And what's so intriguing about all these elements is not just that they exist, but that they all exist on a single coin, which according to multiple seasoned experts is nearly statistically impossible, as even 1 or 2 of these errors would make a coin highly collectible. But all of them appearing together on a single mint product defies logic and elevates this coin to mythic status among collectors. And to make the story even more thrilling, this particular 1997 1 cent was not discovered by a professional dealer but by a teenage collector going through inherited pocket change from a grandparent's old jar, a discovery that instantly rocketed him and the coin into national attention after experts verified its authenticity. And as word spread, offers began pouring in from all over the world, with auctions and private negotiations eventually culminating in a jaw-dropping $27 million private sale to a reclusive tech billionaire and coin enthusiast who has since displayed the coin only once, during a closed-door session for a museum board in New York City. And now this legendary coin exists almost as a myth in the public imagination, with few photographs and only secondary reports available to the numismatic community, sparking debates, speculative articles, and treasure hunts among penny collectors who now scour their 1997 cents with fresh hope that another such miracle might be hiding in plain sight. And while millions of 1997 pennies were produced at the Denver Mint, none so far have exhibited the dense constellation of errors found on this one, confirming its place as a truly singular marvel of minting history. And its story has inspired documentaries, classroom case studies in minting errors, and online communities dedicated to tracking and analyzing every possible error coin in circulation. And this single penny now stands as the definitive example of how mistakes, mechanical, procedural, human, and material, can sometimes converge not into failure but into breathtaking value. And this $27 million penny reminds us all that the most valuable things in life and in coin collecting are often born not from perfection but from imperfection, from the quirks and the flaws and the unintentional deviations from the norm that make something not just rare but utterly unique. And for every person out there who thinks a penny is just a penny, this coin shouts its story from the rooftops of the numismatic world, proving that greatness can come in the smallest, most unexpected forms. And so if you have a 1997 cent lying around, take a closer look, because the next record-breaking coin might just be waiting for someone like you to recognize the beauty in the error, the brilliance in the mistake, and the immense value in what others might have overlooked. And who knows, maybe you're holding the next treasure that will make history, shock the market, and turn a single cent into a multi-million-dollar marvel.